evening, everybody. Good night, or no, good evening, I think is what you say when you say hello.
Talking Dirty
with Mastro.
Not just numbers,
not just stats.
it's about what they mean.
I'm going to send to you the information.
Talking Dirty.
Hello and welcome to Talking Dirty with your boy. Me. We got the quad. We got the quad in the hizzy. You don't skip leg day in SimWorld prep, baby. That's just how it is. We have 4 teams that have taken 4 very distinct pathways to get here. We have 4 teams that have 4 different routes to victory over these next 2 games in order to be the first new SimWorld prep champion. And we have 4 teams with 4 distinct handicaps in the same process. So let's break them down as they are. We'll start with Rocky Mountain Monsters. Rocky Mountain Monsters have a definitive difference maker player in Devontae Schindler. 7-footer. Y'all know Mastro like his bigs. Get off me. But he's proven that it's okay to like bigs because they're awesome. His support staff, however, are the ones who are making the difference in terms of being able to fill in the gaps that are necessary with Justin Bell, Daquan McDougal III, Lucas Banks, and Dink Pate, especially with his last few games coming up big the way he has for Rocky Mount. Now, the key to their game is the weakness of the game for their opponent, and that is Europe. Europe's rocking 2 bigs, Ivan Suslov. So they get the advantage there. But Rocky Mountain's advantage is in the transition game. Europe's advantage is in the lead transition game from defense to offense after the 3-quarter court and in their half-court game with their ability to pass. Because they're rocking who else but Ty Merker, Zodorn, and another big that can kind of fill in the gap, Samuel Kipling. Now, Rocky Mount technically has the athletic size advantage over Europe. Europe has a size advantage. However, Ivanov and Suslov are so athletic that I think that's going to balance out. What's going to make the difference in this game? Who's going to be able to stay most consistent in their transition game, and that always starts with rebounding. I know y'all sick of Maestro saying that. I should put a quote in the jar every time I feel you roll your eyes every time I talk about rebounding. I know, it's okay. Hold it against me. Who's going to control the board? Who's going to be able to get up to the timeline and or the half-court line in the transition game the fastest? Because that's what's going to separate which team is going to either get into their set the fastest and execute, which would favor Europe, or who's going to be able to continue that transition into the basket, and that's going to favor Rocky Mount. It's going to be fun to see those 2 go at it because style makes fights. I know I say that a lot, and I'm saying it again. But in this case, it's going to be nice to see which 2 teams are going to be able to carry out their identity when it matters the most. On the other half, we have the OGs and the Yacht Club. The Yacht Club is coming out of the toughest region here in SimWorld. I've said it from top to bottom. Being led by Josiah Cook, all around big time player for them, but also supported by Garrett Hart, Tyshawn Issam, Tamar Johnson, Darius McBride, and Trey Willis. And I mentioned those 5 specifically for this reason. The athleticism between Hart, Issam, and Johnson are going to allow them to play a more inside-out athletic game because they move very well without the ball, and they also move very well post-transition. Darius McBride, his ability to hit the threes is, I'm going to say, unmatched at this particular point because of what he's bringing to the table and with who's left in the quad. They're going to need that X factor to come through, though, because they're going to have to find a way to not only maintain balance, but also they're going up against the most versatile squad, not just from the bench, but from the floor in the OGs. The OGs have three bigs, so they can run the whole upside down cake offense that we saw with Southeast Select between Victor Ilgauskas, Marcellus Leland, and Tagdarian Walker III. With those three players, with their ability to pass, their ability to move, their ability to stay in principle, it gives such a luxury for the originators to be able to run their offense from any spot on the floor. And then when you add in the flexibility of a Jay Lassiter or a Justin McGavin, who always comes up big in the spots you need them to come up big, not to mention Caleb Boateng and Chris Coates. Also, their timing is impeccable because of how they're able to stay with their principles and do what they need to do in order to be successful across the table. And I save this for last on purpose. The Cooper flag factor cannot be overlooked. And the fact that a team that can stay in their principles as well as they do, being able to stay on the side of the ball the way they're able to stay on the side of the ball and execute with absolutely no panic, no rush, no anything, and with add in a player like Cooper Flagg who can play within the system, play his game, and allow the other four members on the floor to stay in the system, that is a flexibility that is afforded to very few, which gives them the distinct advantage, will make it very difficult for the Yacht Club to overcome this game, but it's not impossible. We all know that, right? That's why we play the games. Oh, the quad's going to be fun. Tuesday night. Man, can we just start the games now? I know the guys want to rest, but I want to start the games now. That's so awesome. You know what's up. Holla at your boy. Let me know what you think about the thoughts and breakdowns of how the teams play and what's going on. Let Maestro know if you think he's on point or not. You know, I'm always open for that. And on this Father's Day edition of Talking Dirty with Maestro, get you into the Z.
Thank you for listening to the Maestro. Want to get involved? Bring it.
Drop in discord.gg/SimWorld Hoops.
If you have the brain, join as a coach. If you have the game,
join as a player.
see the game, be the
the
game. Now, back to the Maestro.
Sorry. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And welcome back to Talking Dirty with your boy. So on this Father's Day edition of Talking Dirty, I just want to give a shout out to all the coaches, all the uncles, all the people who, in one way or another, stand and have stood in as father figures for a lot of players such as myself. I was lucky enough to have my dad along with a bunch of great coaches and great uncles. A lot of my uncles were able to play professional ball in one form or fashion between the Negro leagues and the actual alternate professional sports leagues. And my father was probably the biggest example that I had, or most immediate example I had, because I had him every day. Unlike my mom, who was a multiple sport athlete, multiple time All-American in multiple sports, my father never was able to achieve that. He decided when the Negro Leagues folded, and when by the time he was old enough to even play, he did not have a path for his best sport, which is baseball, which is something else we shared. He decided to go serve his country. He went to fight in Nam 4 times. And the idea of service and what it means to be on a team and to fight for something greater than you is definitely another one of the personal things that I know I get from him. I've played with a lot of players and was coached by a lot of players whose sons are now pretty big in Major League Sports, and I see their relationship, and I see a lot of their relationship, the relationship that Eric Young has with Eric Young Jr., Cecil Fielder had with Prince Fielder, and Patrick Mahomes Sr. had with his son. I see a lot of that with me and my dad. You know, me and my dad used to go running every morning. No matter what time it was, no matter what the weather was, he and I would go do our run before I had school, before he had work. And then whoever got home last, we'd take a minute, we get it together, we'd go running again in the afternoon. And that time just to run, sometimes we talk about life or whatever, and other times we just run just to be together. And I miss that. I miss seeing his face every day. He was taken from us in 2002. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about all those great times that I had with him, the great stories I heard about him coming up as a promising baseball player. One great story I would not spare, I'll do a short on it. My grandmother, who was also a great athlete, his mom, he was like my mom in a lot of ways, very loud, very vocal, and she was letting him have it in the middle of a stadium during our winter American Legion season. And my dad decided to mouth off to her, and he paid the price for it, not only at the game, but after the game, apparently. But people still say that was the boldest thing they've ever seen done. So I think that's pretty funny. But one really cool thing about, especially that particular American Legion Wood Bat League, was they started having reunions after that league folded. And one of the last things that he and I did together, we actually went to one of the first reunions where they had just a nice get together for all the players. And we learned that there were actually 3 records we shared. He and I we both shared the hit by pitch record. I know you guys are surprised by that. My Grams, his mom, said that I actually have the record because I was hit by a lot of pitches that I did not get credit for, because if you don't look like you're getting out the way, the umpire's not going to let you take first base. And I was just never scared of the ball, so they would hit me, and I'd be like, whatever. Whereas my dad was always flinching. She said, your daddy was a punk. He was always flinching. So, you get the idea. The verbiage, it sounds like my mom. Yeah, that was his mom, too. So I guess that's probably why he married my mom. The other thing was being a multi-sport athlete. He was a track guy, was one of his other sports. He and I shared the record for stealing home in a season. I did it twice. He did it once. And but to see our names right next to each other was just really cool. And the other thing that we actually shared, which was weird because it was something I never even thought of, was unassisted double plays. And just the fact that they kept that sort of data on the league, and they had pictures and videos and films of games and stuff, and got a chance to see some of his games and the 8mm film. And of course, I'm around at the time of beta and VHS, and we were able to get copies of those games and sort of talk about it. It was just really cool. And that's one of the things that I miss talking to him about. We rib each other all the time. We would go to a lot of sporting events, baseball, football, all the like. But my father also gave me something else. Out of all of those things that he gave me was a love for cricket. And I miss watching that with him, talking about cricket and just the fun that it was. So, if you have somebody close to you, share a story. Holler at your boy. Talk about something that's close to you and what it means for you in today's game and what's going on. And, let's just share in the positivity of this moment. All right. And no matter what else you do on this happy Father's Day, never let Jason Bourne borrow your car.
Like I need to talk to somebody.
Thank you for listening to Mastro.
Thank you again for checking out Mastro. Drop a tag below and give us a piece of your mind. See you next time.
Well, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.